If it's Monday night, oh, yes, it is Ridiculously Raw. Hello, friends. It's Ridiculously Over. Anthony Flair here with you for another edition of Ridiculously Raw. And in the immortal words of Gorilla Monsoon and Gorilla MF Michael Fletcher, history has been made on this show here tonight. We'll explain momentarily, but yeah, another edition of Monday Night Raw in the books. Another solid edition, if I'm going to be real honest. We'll wait and see what happens as it reflects to our overall rating. But history made in so many ways, and boy howdy, I mean it was another good show. That's all I can say. So I'm joined as always by my esteemed panel as always, the host of the Cerebral Smack Talk, the one and only Gorilla MF Michael Fletcher, along with the Phenom Michael Bullock, who I know is still reeling from his little moment tonight. And, of course, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Didi Woodson. Great to have you all with us. And without any further ado, let's dive on into this history-making Monday Night Raw. And also, during this show tonight, when it's necessary, we will update you on the college football playoff national championship game between Clemson and Alabama. Alabama with a 17-14 lead late in the third quarter. And we'll let you know if anything, if we get any change in the score, which I think we will, but we'll see what happens. But while we wait on that, let's dive on in. And of course, there will be cutouts on the show. I mean, it's not a Ridiculously Raw without cutouts. And this opening segment is anything but a cutout. I mean, we're gonna have the opening segment. I mean, the opening segment featured. Well, this was originally supposed to be the handicap match for the United States Heavyweight Championship, but what happened was it actually started with a backstage segment with Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley. Stephanie said she was going to evaluate Mick Foley. It was a performance evaluation from last year, and then all of a sudden, Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins show up, and they get into a little brouhaha in the office. And Stephanie told Mick Foley that this performance evaluation rests merely alone on your ability to produce the Undertaker, because the Undertaker, the rumors were there, the Undertaker was ready to show up at any time, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. And so with that being said, it was supposed to lead into the handicap match for the United States Heavyweight Championship. That did not happen. Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins both show up. All hell breaks loose. Stephanie shows up and says, oh, no, it's not going to end that way. This show's not going to start that way.
Oh, Florio, I'm sorry to interrupt. Alabama just scored. It's now 24-14 with under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
All right. And, well, it's exactly what I thought. Bullock, you and I had Bama winning it. MF had Clemson winning. I know MF's probably starting to maybe get a little concerned, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, but let's get back into this. Stephanie said the show was not going to start that way, and the match is not going to end that way. I promised these fans a handicap match for the United States Heavyweight Championship, and we're going to get that. And you know what, Roman? Just so you don't have any excuses, I'm going to make the match as later in the night, which meant main event, of course. And then she said, Seth, you know what? You want to fight so bad? I'm going to give you one. You're going to go one-on-one with Braun Strowman next. And that's exactly what happened. So you know what that means? 2-for-1 deal, baby. Seth Rollins one-on-one with Braun Strowman. It ends in a double countout at 11 minutes and 25 seconds. So segment-wise, I would say, well, that was more of an angle than a beatdown, really, than more of an angle than a fight anyway. And, so I don't think we should really get into that. But what we are going to get into is Rollins and Strowman. And so for what it was, I mean, it was okay for what it was. It wasn't really anything special. It was a good match with Strowman looking like a monster and Rollins clicking as a babyface trying to stand up to him. The post-match with the chair was really flat with the crowd getting quiet, but everything else seemed to work well. I wonder if the WWE will pull back on Rollins talking about wanting to face Triple H now that we're supposed to believe that Seth wants to win the Rumble match and headline WrestleMania. in a title match. Remember, Seth Rollins earlier today on his Twitter feed announced that he was entering the Royal Rumble match. So business has just picked up when it comes to the Royal Rumble match, with the Architect now throwing his name into the mix. And remember, he had to miss WrestleMania last year because of that devastating knee injury. So we'll have to wait and see on that. So for the effort, I'm going to give the match about 2.25, 2.5 stars at the absolute best. So that's really all I can say on that. So I'm going to bring in good old MF Michael Fletcher now. MF, let's get you in. Let's get you on in here. We're not. I mean, that opening thing was more of a segment, or was more of an angle than a match anyway. I mean, if you want to talk about it, you can. But as far but yeah, if you do, just go into it. But if not, just give me your thoughts overall on Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins as we start the night.
No, I mean it was good for what it was worth. Like you said, it was more of a segment, not a real legit thing. I mean, it served its purpose. It was fine for what it was worth. Strowman versus Rollins, it was really more Rollins trying to carry the fight, and because he's the more gifted athlete. Normally, when you get big guy versus little guy, the little guy needs to do a little more extra than anything else. Even though I think they both looked good when it was all said and done. At the end of the day, fine for what it's worth. I got nothing wrong with that. I can only give it about 2 stars, but I don't know, Floyd. The way you were describing it, the way it was coming off, like at least in my eyes, and I don't know if the fans are gonna realize it. I don't think you really believed in any of that of that soliloquy you just threw at us here just 2 seconds ago. Let's be realistic. Raw was solid. Raw was good. Okay, you needed good elements because right now SmackDown is basically leaving them boys in the dust. Okay, fine for what it's worth, and enjoy. I enjoyed what I saw for the most part, but I mean, if you're gonna be definitely trying to get better, trying to catch, trying to be in a level so that you get yourself ready for, I don't know, like the Royal Rumble or something even bigger than that, then you got to come up with something more better. Yes, Strowman is a big guy. Strowman's a monster. Strowman's going to be a beast. We all heard that. We all said the exact same thing heading into for him going into the Royal Rumble. But again, everybody knows Triple H and Rollins is probably going to fight at WrestleMania. It's almost a given now. It's just, you got to give us something that would make us legitimately, just to give us that feel for going into that big game. Was it going to be like, you got to step it up. And that's all I'm going to say. This is WrestleMania season, guys. The road to Royal Rumble begins, and right now we got to see something that will make us feel, my goodness, give us something that's going to, make us go crazy, eat something up. But right now, I don't know. I just feel like it's good, but I want something more. I want something that's going to wow me. And right now, I feel underwhelmed. SmackDown, and I openly admitted this, for the last couple of weeks, SmackDown has wowed me because they've upped the ante. Now it's Raw's turn to up the ante. Now, I liked what I saw with all the stuff that was going down because that was good. Solid. Nothing bad to say. But, you really got to rise up. That's all I'm going to say about that. 2 stars for the fight. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
All right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, from what we saw at the beginning, I mean, yeah, it did feel more like an angle than a match itself. I mean, basically setting up for what was going to be what we saw here tonight on Monday Night Raw. I mean, the segment was fine for what it was. I mean, basically, everybody was just brawling, and Stephanie coming out and saying, you know what, we're still gonna have this 2-on-1 handicap match for the United States Championship, and it's now gonna be the main event. And and Seth Rollins, you're looking for a fight. Well, you got one, and you're going up against the monster Braun Strowman. So, as far as the fight goes, I'll give it about 1.5 to 2 stars as my rating on the match. I mean, it was fine for what it was, but I mean, like Fletcher was saying, I mean, this was basically like Seth Rollins basically trying to carry the fight, and it was good. It was good, not great for what it, for all intents and purposes. So yeah, so the segment was fine. Match 2 stars. So I'm gonna bring in now our Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson. Dee Woodson, come on in here. What is your thoughts on the segment and the match itself?
Well, I will say one thing. I do agree with Fletch on some of this. You know, they need to step up their game and step it up big time. Because as of right now, you know, SmackDown's giving us the whole enchilada, and Raw, you know, they're just giving you, you know, like the little Happy Meal type thing, or we're just going to give you a taste of this, where Raw or SmackDown says, I'm going to give you everything. And so, you know, they do need to pick it up a little bit. You know, it was an interesting segment. It definitely is not my segment of the night, but it was definitely an interesting way to start off Raw. I mean, you're still building storylines, and that's about as far as I will go with it. Is, you know, they're just working on the storylines, but you know, it gets to a point where, you know, Strowman keep coming out and interrupting things. I mean, that's getting to the point of, you know, let's go home, let's stop this. You know, we're kind of, most of us, I think, are starting to get tired of that. So that's about all I'm going to say about it. So it's yours.
All right. And then there was another interesting backstage segment. Sasha Banks and Bayley, you know, they were having a little moment, and then Charlotte comes in, and Nia Jax shows up, and then Charlotte and Nia beat down on Sasha and Bayley. And I gotta say, I dig the way they continue to make Jax her own monster rather than having her aligned with Charlotte or other heels. So that's all I can say there. So all right. So now we move on to a cruiserweight match. We have the extraordinary gentleman, Jack Gallagher, going one-on-one with Drew Gulak. Jack Gallagher wins the match in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, I don't know if anybody wants to get into this. MF, did you want to get into this, or do you want to make this a cutout?
I'll give it at least a moment to talk about it, because I do want to let you know Clemson has just scored touchdown. Mike Williams from 4 yards out, and the PAT is momentarily, but I do want to say that I do want to, well, actually the PAT is good, 24-21 Alabama, 14 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. So that's number one. But number two, you know what, I'm going to say it. I like Jack Gallagher, man. I like his gimmick. I love his League of Gentlemen. Dude, you want a gentleman like? This is a guy I like. I like the attitude. I like his very I don't know how I could say virtuoso distinguishment. I guess we could say it's very gentleman-like. So, you know, it's a character. I like it. I think it's unique. It's something good. The match itself, okay, not really the best match. Very short, way short, only less than 3 minutes. Okay, I'll give you that. You could say NA. You could even call it a cutout. No problem with that. But I just like that they're making effort about, you know, and that's the thing. That was one thing that really the cruiserweight division was really having a mistake on, and is that they never really was able to distinguish their characters, who was good, who was bad. Now you're starting to see it's not as clear. It's starting to be more clear, and everything else. So I don't know. With Jack Gallagher, I think he's going to become that little cult hero that the fans are going to start rallying behind. You got, Rich Swann, you got my boy TJP. I think Gallagher is going to become that little diamond in the rough that maybe the IWC starts to say, I like this guy, and they're going to start pushing him a little bit. But we'll wait and see. I mean, it was okay for what it was worth. I know probably the rest will probably say pass and cut out. So, Florio, let's just move on. I just wanted to give my 2 cents. That's all.
And Florio, I think you need to mention something to everyone.
Oh yeah. Michael Bullock and I had our Raw chat earlier, and Michael Bullock told me that, believe it or not, breaking surprise here on the show, everybody. Michael Bullock is ending his boycott. Am I hearing that right, Bullock? Are you ending the boycott tonight?
That is correct, folks. Yep, you heard it loud and clear. I am ending the boycott right here, right now. I mean, yeah. I know the matches have been not to my liking, but it doesn't make sense for me to continue this boycott for a while. I mean, to drag it on like that. I mean, I think it's beyond pointless on my part. So I'm saying it right here, right now. The boycott ends right here, right now.
There you go. All right. So what now? Just like MF Bullock, you told me that you also like Gallagher too.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Jack Gallagher as well. I mean the gentleman that he is, and when you see the gimmick, you're like, oh, and geez, with what he is, but his body of work. I mean, I'm real impressed with him, and I mean, I see somewhere down the line he could be a future cruiserweight champion. I mean, not right now, but somewhere down the line. I mean, that's how impressed I am with his body of work. So yeah, the match is pretty much an NA for me. So I know everyone else is going to want to pass on. So I say we just move on, Florio.
Well, I'm going to give a quick thought. It was nothing new from Gallagher this week as he ran through his usual offensive moves during his match, and his latest oddball request for something involving Gallagher was rather tame compared to the duels. So that's all I can say on that, and I'm sure Didi Woodson's going to pass on it, I'm sure. So, but now we're going to get into something a little more relevant here. The first of our 2 Legends appearances tonight. It was the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, the Hall of Famer, making his way to the ring to
the showstopper, the main event, the icon, Mr. WrestleMania, and the Hall of Famer.
Class of 2011. Yes, indeed. Made his entrance and said he had to catch his breath because it was a long run. He said he missed the fans and coming out on a regular basis. He said he especially feels that way at this time of the year, and said things tend to pick up a bit in January with the Royal Rumble. And he noted, hey, Royal Rumble's in my hometown of San Antonio. And then he said, hey, 20 years ago, I won the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble in my hometown of San Antonio when he beat Psycho Sid in the main event of that Rumble. He put over some of the names in this year's Rumble match and said he's much more comfortable sitting on the outside looking in, considering some of the names involved. And then, of course, the fans saying, one more match. He says, don't you try to pressure me now. And he said, I'm going to teach you kids how to stand up to peer pressure. And then he was like, you know what? I'm also here to talk about my new movie, The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. Instead, it was his first acting job on the big screen. And then we get a surprise interruption. Rusev Putia, Rusev Bashka, Rusev, Lana, Jinder Mahal. He comes down and he says, hey, Shawn, you put my wife in the movie. He says, yeah, okay. Movie's already done. And that's all there is to it. And then Rusev put himself over as the Bulgarian George Clooney. Okay. And his wife is more beautiful than Emma Stone. that brings out the Wrestling Forum's favorite tag team, of course, Enzo and Cass. And then they do the usual shtick, and then it leads into a match. Big Cass one-on-one with Jinder Mahal. And Big Cass wins the match. I do not have a time of the fall. So, Michael Bullock, you actually started off since MF started off the cruiserweight thing. So, all right, Michael Bullock, what'd you think of Shawn Michaels being out there with our favorite tag team, Enzo and Cass? How you doing?
Yeah, you talk about a major how you doing right there with Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid being with Enzo and Cass. And well, first off, I gotta say this was the second best segment of the night, and I mean, it's always good to see Shawn Michaels back. I mean, saying how much he missed coming out and entertaining everyone. And I mean, what can you say about Shawn Michaels? I mean, he has a passion for this business, and I mean, he's created so many great moments, and he even talked about the Royal Rumble returning to his hometown of San Antonio, and talking about the night where he won the WWE Championship when the Royal Rumble was in San Antonio back in 1997, and then of course he goes into talking about his new movie, The Resurrection of Gavin Stone, and I'll tell you what, just from looking at the trailer for it, I think it looks pretty good, and I think I might want to get it myself just to check this thing out. And I think I should recommend this movie for anybody. And then Rusev basically comes out and basically says, you know what, how about you put my wife in the movie? But there's only one problem here, Rusev. The movie's already made, so there's no way we can get your wife in there. And then all of a sudden, out comes our favorite duo, Enzo and Cass, with their usual shtick. And yeah, it basically led into the match, and yeah, I'm actually trying to find the time of the fall myself, so because I'm on the 411 right now, so give me just a minute here.
I already got it, Bullock.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. The time of the fall for that was according to this, 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
All right. I'm gonna have to give this a no rating here. I mean, it was that short, but what I did like was, of course, seeing one of my favorite finishing maneuvers. Well, one of my favorites. And what's that, Florio? What we saw?
The Sweet Chin Music.
Yeah. How does that taste now, Rusev? I guess it looks like he probably. Well, I guess Lana's gonna have to be planning a lot of kisses on that cheek to heal the wound from that Sweet Chin Music. So yeah, so second best segment of the night for me, and the match was pretty much an NA for me. And Florio and Fletch, if you want to join in on this, I got something I want to say. If you ain't down with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, returning to Monday Night Raw, I got 2 words for you. Suck it! Dee Woodson, what says you? And what are your thoughts on the Heartbreak Kid returning?
Hey, I have no problem with seeing Shawn Michaels. I mean, he's definitely showstopper, Hall of Famer. Love seeing when he comes back, and love the fact that he came back for such a good cause as this movie. I mean, this movie looks totally awesome. Can't wait for it to actually see it and see how inspirational it actually is, and how big of a part he played in it. So as for the segment, fair segment, not real super bad. I mean, I like the fact that Shawn Michaels actually got into it, to doing the stick with the guys and everything. But as for the match, no big surprise here. It didn't really go anywhere. It being in NA and everything. So that's about all I'm going to say about that. So it's over to you, Florio.
It was a segment. It had some fun parts, but I kind of felt it was a little bit of a waste of HBK considering the time of the year it is. I mean, it was fine. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was the second best segment of the night, like Bullock said, because I loved seeing the interaction between Shawn Michaels and Rusev. But then you had Shawn Michaels, basically out there to continue the feud with Enzo and Cass and Rusev and Mahal. So, I mean, we weren't really sure what he was going to do. I mean, we know he wasn't going to say, "Oh, I'm going to be in some sort of a match at the Royal Rumble," because he basically said, once The Undertaker retired me, I was going to live up to that. But you never know. I mean, they could still get him there. I mean, they could still involve him in some way. I mean, maybe some sort of non-wrestling role, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, it was the second best segment of the night. It did have some fun moments, but I kind of felt it was somewhat of a waste of HBK. I kind of wanted to see him, do something a little more serious, but having him there to advance this rather lifeless feud, which is Rusev and Mahal against Enzo and Cass, not really the way I would have done it, but, it is what it is. Fight, as far as the fight goes, I agree. No rating to a dud. It was not good. The feud must continue, so that's all I'm going to say on that. But second best segment of the night, though. But as great as it was to see Shawn Michaels and Rusev interact with each other, I kind of wanted to see Shawn Michaels do something a little more on the serious side, considering it is WrestleMania season. Ain't that right, MF?
Yeah, but the thing is that you don't need to pull that you don't have to pull that card out yet. We're still loading up to Royal Rumble, and this is not going to be the last time we're going to see Shawn Michaels. I'm pretty sure we'll see him again once we get closer to WrestleMania season. Then we'll probably see him then. But right now, he was just there to promote the movie. He got himself into a situation that was kind of not really his fault. It's just us. Rusev, we was just trying to promote his wife, Lana, saying, well, she is a good actress. She deserves an opportunity. And, what happened was he paid a price. He ended up getting Sweet Chin Music. So, I mean, vintage Shawn Michaels. Great to see him do what he does best. But, Shawn was being Shawn. And, as far as the fight goes, no rating. I'm not going to waste time on that. So let's just move on.
All right. That's I just got a buzz on my end from Bullock. Something very interesting happened after Monday Night Raw went off the air, and we're going to address that at the end of the show. Oh boy, that's all I'm going to say. So, with that said, let's move on. We got another cruiserweight matchup here. We had the king of the cruiserweights, the self-proclaimed king of the cruiserweights, Adrian Neville, going one-on-one with Lince Dorado. Adrian Neville wins the match, 3 minutes and 6 seconds, the time of the effort. I'm going to take a guess that Didi Woodson's probably going to sit this one out. So I will start it off here if that's the case. I'm going to give it 2 stars for the effort. It was a solid match for the time given. Neville was great with his aggression, and the post-match was strong. I mean, did you see that submission hold he put on Lince Dorado? My Lord, what a submission hold. And Neville continues to be the best thing going in the cruiserweight division. Unfortunately, there's not much else happening outside of his feud with Rich Swann. And Rich Swann would show up. So, and don't worry, we're going to see that Cruiserweight Championship match down the road. I still think it's going to be at the Royal Rumble. I don't know if it'll be on the main card or if they'll put it on the kickoff show, but nonetheless, I'm fully expecting to see Rich Swann against Adrian Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship at the Royal Rumble. That's just my guess. So I'm going to give it a solid 2 stars for the effort. MF, it's well documented. I mean, you are a huge fan of Adrian Neville's work. I mean, not just in NXT, but you've gone on the record for the last few weeks saying that he's been the best thing in the Cruiserweight division. And I know you're going to agree with my sentiments that I just made.
Oh, absolutely. And he has been the greatest thing. You know, there was one thing that we needed, and that we needed a spark plug. It didn't matter if it was good, it didn't matter if it was bad. We just needed somebody who is going to step up and rise up and become the next big thing in the Cruiserweight division. Somebody that was going to give a spark and some kind of thing. And, you know, the man that gravity forgot, you know, the new sensation Neville came back from what was a debilitating injury, a real nasty injury, and the next thing you know, look out below. He comes back with reckless abandons, a side of him we've never seen before, and sure enough, he is back and better than ever, and he's a real dangerous player too. So now, for me, this was as good as you could have gotten. Now, as far as the fight goes, I agree. It wasn't really the greatest match ever. I'll give it between 1.5 and 2 stars. But for what it was worth, and for everything that was meant in this fight, it was they did a really good job with it. So nothing more to say, nothing bad to say. Michael Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'll give it about 1.5 to 2 stars. I mean, it wasn't the greatest match, but I mean, it's still like pretty much a showcase for Neville to continue to show his new mean streak that we're seeing. And I do agree. I mean, somewhere down the line, I think at the Royal Rumble, we're gonna get that cruiserweight title match between Neville and Rich Swann. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say. So, Didi Woodson, what says you? Or do I just give it back to you, Florio?
I think you just give it back to me. I don't think Didi Woodson wants any part of the cruiserweight matchups. She passed on the first one, so it's obvious. I think she's probably going to do the same thing here. So, but I'm gonna bring all of you in because the next up we had something relevant here. We had a one-on-one match. It was Sheamus, one half of the Raw Tag Team Champions, squaring off against Luke Gallows. Carl Anderson and Cesaro sitting on commentary. I mean, seeing 5 men at that Raw announce table on the stage, it's one of the most coolest things I've ever seen. I'm going to be real honest with you. I just wanted to get that off my chest. But nonetheless, we had Sheamus go one-on-one with Luke Gallows. Cesaro and Anderson do get involved. But when push came to shove at the end of the night, the winner of the match in 10.5 minutes, it was Sheamus with the bro kick. That's all I can say on that. So Sheamus gets the win. MF, you started off. Sheamus and Gallows. I mean, we thought Cesaro and Anderson had a good match. How about Sheamus and Gallows? Did they was this match as good as the one their respective partners had a week ago? I think it was.
I mean, there's really nothing bad to say about it. I mean, they definitely delivered. Now, who do I think was better? I think it was the fight last week was a lot better, but this week, yeah. I mean, to have these two other guys go at it, and they were very impressive. I had nothing bad to say about this one. This was about another 2, maybe 2.25 star fight. I'm not gonna say it really wowed me or like said, oh my god, it was the greatest thing ever. But no, this was a good match, solid fight. 2 to 2.25 stars. Maybe you can make an argument for 2.5, but you know, it's just my personal opinion only. Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this was a solid match here. I'll give it about 2.5 to 3 stars as my rating on the match, and yeah, nice win for Sheamus. yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. I mean, I really got nothing bad to say about it. So, Dee Dee Woodson, what says you?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. About two and a quarter. So it was a fairly good match. So it's yours, Florio.
I'm actually going to give it 2.5 stars. I mean, they split the singles matches and did a lot of talk on commentary to help set up the next tag title program. The match was fine, but they succeeded in doing work to set up the tag title match. I mean, we talked about it last week. We'll talk about it again here. No question about it. Down the road, maybe also at the Royal Rumble, we will see Sheamus and Cesaro defend the Raw Tag Team Championship against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. So, they replayed Anderson throwing a water bottle at Cesaro and then diving onto him, which caused the initial distraction. Apparently, WWE is booking a 50-50 feud with the tag wrestlers trading wins in singles matches rather than using the singles match to build up the abused Anderson and Gallows team heading into a tag title bout. So, but I am going to give it 2.5 stars for the effort. All right. Now, we're going to have some fun. Oh boy, are we going to have some fun. This was the moment we were all waiting for, and this was the moment that was pretty much the main selling point of this edition of Monday Night Raw tonight at the Smoothie King Arena in New Orleans, Louisiana. We had the general manager, Mick Foley. He stood in the ring and said he and The Undertaker went to the depths of hell together. He said, Taker, I'm calling on you one more time for one more encounter on Raw. I need Taker, I need you to take a trip from the dark side to be right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. I've been doing this for 32 years, and he's known no greater honor than to stand in the ring and feel the chill as the lights go out and the gong sounds. And recall Paul Bearer showing him the hair on his arm standing up. Lights go out. You're thinking, oh my God, he's there. No. It was Raw Commissioner Stephanie McMahon. She came out and apologized on behalf of Raw for Foley failing to produce The Undertaker. And he said, you know what, Foley? You left me no choice but I'm going to give you your performance review publicly. She praised some of his ideas, like Cesaro and Sheamus becoming a tag team, the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match. But for every time you feel like you take a step, you take two steps forward, you do take 2 steps back. The whole Braun Strowman situation with Sami Zayn and the personal vendettas, and then letting SmackDown Live beat Raw in the ratings. And she was like, hey, Foley, what do you got to say for yourself when it comes to Taker not showing up? And Foley's like, well, I'm sorry. Boom. There he was. We wanted him. I know damn sure Michael Bullock wanted him. And guess what, Bullock? You got him. There he was. The Demon of Death Valley, The Undertaker, making his long entrance to the ring. And when he brings the lights up, and that's what do you always say on commentary when he brings the lights up?
Let there be light.
Oh yeah. Just got chills. Whenever MF and I always did commentary whenever there was an Undertaker match, that's what he would always say when the lights came up. Awesome. And then Taker shows up. He answers to no one. He goes where he wants, when he wants. Nobody controls him. And then he said, I dealt 29 holes for 29 souls, meaning only one thing. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, The Undertaker officially threw his hat into the ring. He has said, I am entering the Royal Rumble match. There is nothing left for me to say except this. The alignment tonight worked out perfectly because Michael Bullock requested during our Raw chat that he lead off on this segment. The stars perfectly aligned, Bullock. You were going to lead off anyway. So there's nothing left for me to say except I give you the Undertaker's #1 fan right here, the Phenom, Michael Bullock. Phenom, it's all yours, my friend.
And of course, Florio, you know what I got to do, what you always do. So that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What can you say? This is the segment of the night. And at this moment, the Raw segment of the year. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. I mean, like you said, Mick Foley was standing there in the middle of the ring and saying, you know what, me and The Undertaker, we traveled through the depths of hell, and I want you to come here for one more encounter right here on Monday Night Raw. And then he really says, you know what, I need you to be right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. And Mick Foley talks about all the things, like, of course, the great honor of being in the ring when that entrance where you get that the chills running up and down your spine, and then the lights go out. We were thinking, The Undertaker's here. Nope. It was just Stephanie McMahon. Yeah, so Stephanie comes out and says, you know, I'd like to apologize to everyone for Foley's inability to produce The Undertaker. So now I have no choice but to give you the performance review publicly. And that Mick Foley's had some successes then with Sheamus and Cesaro as tag team champions, the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match. But for every two steps forward, for every step forward, she said, you take 2 steps forward, and then you 2 steps back. Sami Zayn, the Cruiserweight division on the line, Braun Strowman, and allowing SmackDown to beat Raw in the ratings. And of course, no Undertaker. So then she's like, what do you have to say? And Mick Foley was about to apologize, and there he was, the Undertaker, the Phenom, the Demon of Death Valley. He took to the mic and said, I'm back. And what was interesting was they showed Braun Strowman back there because he said, I am entering the Royal Rumble. Yes, it is official, folks. The Dead Man, the Phenom, is going to be one of the 30 participants in that Royal Rumble match. I mean, this was definitely no surprise. I knew this was going to happen, and then he basically says, I answer to no one. Wherever I go, where I go, where or when I want, and nobody controls The Undertaker. And what I loved was when he walked right up to Stephanie and then says, no one. And you could see Stephanie McMahon didn't even back down. He said he's returned to the, and remember, it's in New Orleans, and he returned to the same city where he suffered his most devastating loss, WrestleMania 30, where the streak came to an end. He then said his journey will continue at the Royal Rumble. He's dug 29 holes for 29 souls, and he will be bringing the dark side back to the Royal Rumble match. And after he will return to the main event at WrestleMania. And if anyone stands in my way, they will. And what is that? What's the famous thing he says, Florio? Rest in peace. Segment of the night. So far, the Raw wrestling segment of the year. I mean, you take a look at who you got on the Royal Rumble match so far. You got the New Day. You got Chris Jericho. You got Seth Rollins. You got Braun Strowman. You got Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, and now you add the Phenom into the mix. I'm thinking this is going to be a really good Royal Rumble match, and I'm going on the record of saying this right here, right now. You can book me on this. I don't care what anybody says. Because of those rumors I've been hearing, Taker is winning that Royal Rumble match. And from judging at the age that he's at, I think he's going to come in at either number 29 or number 30. I mean, just my guess when it comes to that. So there's really nothing more to say. So, Dee Woodson, your thoughts on this unbelievable segment and the return of the dead man, the phenom, the demon of Death Valley, The Undertaker.
Dead man walking. He's back, and he looks, like he's in, really great shape. It was definitely, one of the two highlights of the show. And definitely the segment of the night. It definitely stole the show. The only contradiction I have with Bullock is Stephanie did look a little intimidated at a couple of points. Him coming out, she was definitely was surprised when she first heard his music after she came out, and because what she was getting ready to do, she was getting ready to give Foley a negative review, and then of course the dead man shows up. So it's going to be, really good to see him in the Royal Rumble, and good to see him, back in the ring again. And so I'm definitely looking forward to the Rumble just a little bit more now, knowing that he's going to be in there. And of course, you saw a little clip of Strowman in the back watching the monitor as Undertaker was out there announcing that he was going to be in this match. So I think right there we're gonna get to see, Undertaker versus Strowman at least briefly in the Rumble, depending upon where they fall in the number line. So we'll have to wait and see on that. So Florio, it's yours.
I'm gonna make it 3 for 3 here, folks. That was without question the segment of the night, the Raw segment of the year. I mean, it was worth the hype. I mean, it was well worth waiting for. I mean, and it came at a perfect time. It came at halftime of the College Football Playoff National Championship game. That was the perfect time to do it because nobody was going to be watching halftime anyway. Perfect time to do it. I bet this will be the highest rated segment of the show, hands down. I mean, wow. I mean, Bullock and I had so much fun with this. I mean, we kept we kept rewinding our DVRs several times just to relive the awesomeness of this segment. I mean, Undertaker throwing his name in the Royal Rumble, that's not a big surprise. And early betting odds for the Royal Rumble has just come out. And get this, Undertaker is actually the odds-on favorite to win the Royal Rumble, currently at 2-1. He's the 2-1 favorite to win this Royal Rumble match. And it wouldn't surprise me if he does win this Royal Rumble match. Because remember, the winner of the winner of the Royal Rumble match gets a World Championship match at WrestleMania 33. It doesn't necessarily have to be the WWE Championship. It could also be the Universal Championship as well. So, and Bullock and I, we talked about it, and we think if he does win the Royal Rumble, and considering the rumors going around about him and John Cena squaring off at WrestleMania, what would have to happen for that to happen, Taker will have to win the Rumble match, and John Cena will have to beat AJ Styles for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble in order for this to happen. And if it does happen, oh my Lord in heaven, we're looking at something really special. There is the possibility that Taker beats Cena and retires as the WWE champion. That really can happen. But then again, there have been contradicting dirt sheets saying that they want to have Taker square off against Roman Reigns. And if that were to happen, it would have to be for the Universal Championship. But honestly, I really don't see Taker going after the Universal title. I would think he would want to go out as the big dog, literally the big dog in his yard with the WWE Championship. Because I think the Universal Championship is a little bit below or beneath the Undertaker, if I'm being honest. I mean, if you want to go out the best way you can. Go out on top as the man, as the WWE champion on the grandest stage of them all. He left Orlando as a world champion before WrestleMania 24 when he took the World Heavyweight Championship off of Edge. in the match that happened to be the main event. But overall, liner note, I absolutely love the way WWE is loading up this year's Royal Rumble match with so many strong contenders. Very interesting that they showed Braun Strowman watching. But I do see Taker among the favorites, given that he could face either AJ Styles or John Cena for the WWE Championship. As down as I have been on the quality of Raw for a lot of these weeks since this whole thing started, the Royal Rumble match is going to be a blast. That's all I can say on that. Segment of the night, Raw segment of the year. It's the second best segment overall, only behind that epic contract signing from last week's SmackDown Live with AJ Styles and John Cena. So Michael Bullock pretty much did the hype man mode on this, but I'm going to throw it now to our actual hype man, good old MF Michael Fletcher. MF, let there be light, my friend. The Undertaker is back.
First off, Clemson has just scored a touchdown. Wayne Gellman, 1 yard out. Clemson leads the national championship game 27-24. PAT pending, and it's no good. 28-24. Clemson,
what a game.
4 minutes, 38 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Clemson leads the national championship game. Guys, 5 stars? I think so. All right.
I believe so.
All right. But let's get back to the job at hand. Let's get back to The Undertaker. Let's get back to his announcement of the Royal Rumble and what I think is going to happen. First off, no doubt about it, I think it's going to be an amazing sight to see. Seeing Undertaker at Rumble is going to be awesome. I think the crowd's going to go wild about it too. I kind of have a feeling you're going to see Taker at the very end of the Royal Rumble, though. I think he's going to be in the 25 to 30 range based on the number that he gets drawn, because I don't think they're going to want to put him out there for a very long time, because of his age, because of his body. Who knows how long he can really wrestle in a Royal Rumble match. So I could see him get a real late number. Especially, I could see, like I said, 25 to 30 range. I think he could be number 30, guys, to be real honest with you. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be a real fun thing to see. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch, to say the very least. But then we'll have to see how everything plays out. I love the fact that, Stephanie was really getting on Foley about, you were supposed to produce The Undertaker. Taker's not here. She tried to say, you've done some good things, but some bad things as well. The plus minus system. But remember, Taker is a SmackDown guy. He is technically under SmackDown control. He even said it, if you remember, when he made his return at the on the 1000th on the big episode of SmackDown leading into the Survivor Series, saying that he was Team Blue, that he was back, and that he was going to be a major player. Yes, the 900th episode, I'm sorry. And I just, it was one of those things. It was an amazing moment. It was an amazing factor. I loved it. I thought it was great. And yeah, he basically said that he was very adamant about what was going to happen if something went wrong on SmackDown. And he made it very clear that you were gonna have to deal with the dead man. So at first everybody was saying, oh, what does that mean? Does that mean that the Royal Rumble was that gonna be, or was the future of the Rumble gonna be something like a la AJ Styles versus John Cena, AJ Styles versus Undertaker for Royal Rumble? Obviously that's not materializing. It's Cena versus Taker, Cena versus AJ for the title. Now you throw Taker into the mix. Now you, like Michael Bullock said, it is without a doubt one of the most deepest Royal Rumble lineups we've had in recent years. And that is, with the New Day, with Lesnar, Strowman, Goldberg, now Taker in it. I mean, my God, the sky is the limit going into this event. What do you do? How do you handle these type of big moments, these big events? You just have to handle it in the right way, the right form. How does it play out? We'll have to wait and see. But one thing is for sure, this is a defining moment in WWE, and yes, it is the 30th anniversary of the Royal Rumble. This thing was started back in 1987 in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So think about that. From where we went, I mean, this is without a doubt the biggest event ever. So how's it going to play out? We'll wait and see. But one thing is for sure, if Taker does win the Royal Rumble, and I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he's going to win it, he's the clear-cut favorite. That's not necessarily true, because, you got to also think about it in a number of different ways. WWE will not be as clear-cut about who's going to win the Rumble until it might as well very happens the night of the event. You never know how it'll play out. You'll never know what could happen one way or another. For sure, though, Taker is definitely a favorite. I think what we're going to see is you're going to have a lot of guys who are going to have quote-unquote breakthrough moments in the Royal Rumble. I just hope that this Rumble delivers in a way that, unlike the last few Royal Rumbles where it was a really predictable ending, we kind of had a feeling, or we kind of knew who was going to win it. It's just now, how's it going to play out? How do you end it? How do you play with everything?
I'm sorry, Fletch, but Alabama just scored. They just scored a touchdown. They just taken the lead 30-28 with 2:07 to go. And pending the extra point, they're going to take a 31-28 lead. What a freaking game.
Told ya.
Hey, 2:08. Now, here's the thing, guys.
It's 2:08.
2:07 left, but Clemson got 2 timeouts remaining, and they scored. Davis, and the thing is, in their last 5 possessions, 3 of them has ended up in touchdowns. Not over yet. Not over yet.
With the way this game has been going, it certainly ain't over yet.
So I'm just saying right now. Now back to what I was back to my thought, and that is, like I said, it is wide open. Anything can happen. Yes, I know there was some rumors about maybe that Goldberg is the last man standing. But again, it depends on who wins. And this is really where the real test is don't worry about the Royal Rumble fight at the end of the night. The matches you want to see first is the 2 title fights. How is the WWE title going to go? How is the Universal title going to go? Because when those 2 matches are determined, then you could start thinking, okay, Royal Rumble winner, who goes here, who goes there? Then you can start thinking about long term. For me, it's not over by a long shot. So, amazing segment, no doubt about it. Nothing bad to say. Anthony, I give it back to you. Oh, I thought he was going to break it. He almost. All right, Anthony, it's yours.
Clemson almost broke one.
He got a lane. He broke free, had a lane. If he would have gotten by one man, it was going to be a big gainer. He got up to about the 35-yard line, and one guy stopped him, grabbed him by the legs, and tripped him up, because if he did not stop him, he probably would have broken it, because there was only one guy left, and that was the kicker.
Ruh-roh. Oh boy. That's all I'm going to say on that. Oh boy, it was looking dicey early, but we're getting the 5-star Shakespearean drama classic that we were expecting. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Bama's up 31-28 with a couple minutes left, but I think Clemson is well into Alabama territory. So, oh boy, MS prediction could come true here. So let's find out. So, all right, let's move on now to our lone women's match of the night. It was a tag team match. Charlotte, the women's champion, teaming up with Nia Jax, going up against Sasha Banks and Bayley. Charlotte and Nia Jax win the match 8 minutes and 50 seconds to 8 minutes and 55 seconds. Nia Jax with a leg drop on Bayley. Sasha was not exactly 100%. This match was made by Raw Commissioner Stephanie McMahon because of a backstage segment between Bayley and Sasha and her. Stephanie tore into him, and Bayley and Sasha really wanted this match next week because of Sasha's injury, but Stephanie says, no, we're doing it this week. Take it or leave it. Bayley says, we'll take it. So there you go. Tag match was there. Charlotte and Nia win it, 850 to 855. Dee Woodson, it's only fitting you start this one off because you are our efficiency expert when it comes to the women's matches on Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown Live as well. So, all right, Dee, did the ladies impress you tonight or not?
Yeah, it was an okay match. In my eyes, it was more of a, the storyline progression of the two feuds that we have going here. I'm going to give the match a solid 2 stars, but as far as anything else, to me, it just seemed like just a regular old diva, not ho-hum, but just a regular old diva fight, just not a lot there other than, it was just here to progress the storyline. So I'll pass it up to you.
I agree with your rating, Dee. Solid 2 stars for the effort. It was an average/bland match with little to no heat. I'm not a big fan of Bayley losing here, as they still have issues maintaining her momentum. In theory, this does help build 2 feuds. And yes, the faces were forced into the match in a weakened state by Stephanie McMahon, but it simply had no heat or sizzle to it. That being said, it seems really odd to have Bayley pinned when she's the one challenging for the title and Banks had the injury excuse. I'm guessing we're going to get a rematch next week with the babyface duo going over. Even so, there's really no buzz about Charlotte versus Bayley at the moment. Even though the dirt sheets are saying that this program is going to, get a lengthy feud, a lengthy build here, which really could culminate with Bayley finally getting her moment at WrestleMania. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. And I'm reading, and what I also read was they're going to go about building this feud as they did with Daniel Bryan a couple of years ago. Remember how Daniel Bryan kept having all those hurdles to jump through because of the authority and all that nonsense from a few years ago? And then Bryan finally got his moment in the sun at WrestleMania. From the dirt sheets I've been reading, the plan is for them to possibly do the same thing with Bayley. Have her go through all these hoops with Charlotte and then finally get her moment on the grandest stage of them all on April 2nd at WrestleMania 33. So that's all I can say there. But I will give it a solid 2 stars for the effort. I agree with everything Dee said. So, MF, your thoughts on this women's tag team matchup?
Yeah, no doubt about it. 2 stars is the rating for the match. I got nothing bad to say about it. Programming, I just want to give you a big heads up on the game. 1st and goal, 10-yard line. 14 seconds left in the national title game.
Oh my gosh.
It's basically railroad time if you're Alabama fans, but basically Clemson's got 2 choices here. You can gamble and try to go for the touchdown, but you're so close, you're 10 yards out, that you could make a 25-yard field goal and send this baby into overtime. So basically, with 14 seconds left, 1 timeout for Clemson, you got maybe, if I'm an analyst here and I'm playing my analyst cap now, I'm being the Curb Street right now, I think you got at least 2 chances at the end zone and for the touchdown.
I agree.
So you got 2 chances.
If not, go for the field goal.
Yep. So we'll see.
Ooh.
So
All right.
2
then.
stars. Mike Bullock, keep that mic on. It's yours.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 2 stars on the match as well. Yeah. I mean, they're trying. I mean, it seems like Anthony said. I mean, they're having a tough time trying to give Bailey some momentum. I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, you had her win the match against Nia Jax last week, and then you have her lose. I mean, yeah, even though Sasha wasn't 100%, but yeah, I do get this feeling that the baby faces are going to go over next week. I think we'll have a rematch, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So 2 stars is my rating, and we got a pass interference at the goal line. You know what that means?
Spotted at the 1.
Spotted at the 1 yard line, 1st and goal with 6 seconds left. So before I pass it off to Florio, or Didi,
No, DDR.
yeah, before I pass it off to Florio, I gotta ask Fletcher this since you're the analyst. 6 seconds left. Do you take one more shot?
What do you do, Herbie? As MF is the Herbie to my Chris Fowler.
What do you say? You take one more shot at the end zone and then go for the field goal?
Well, the thing is that you don't got much time. This play has to be out quick. So I don't know.
Like what we saw in the Super Bowl.
This is the national championship right here. This is the national championship right here.
Here we go.
Touchdown!
Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown, Clemson! With 1 second left.
That's it. Clemson's gonna be the national champions.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
My goodness.
I told you. This was redemption. This was revenge. They
The
got their
redemption
hearts
is
broken.
complete.
They got their hearts broken 1 year ago in Glendale, Arizona. They've done it. They've
The
exercised the
dynasty is over.
demon. The dynasty is over. Screw you, SEC. ACC is the new champions of college football. Clemson Tigers, #1 in the nation. They are gonna be your national champions.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Bullock, I guess we're going to have to eat that humble pie on Friday night now, won't we?
Hey, with a 5-star classic like this, I don't
Okay.
mind having that slice of humble pie.
Me neither. And I know MF's going to rub it in because we
Oh
know.
no. You don't no. I don't do that. I'm not that evil.
Especially after
This
a game
was a-
like this.
No, this is going to go down as one of the greatest national championship games. Actually, I'll even go as further than say this. This was the greatest national championship game I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely not. I'm not going to be the hater. I'm not going to be that.
Oh
I'm not going to be that noggin diva douchebag. You know, I'm more class. I'm more honor. No, I'm not going to be that guy. This was an amazing game. This was an amazing final. Hats off to teams. They played like warriors tonight. Heartbreak for Alabama. Jubilation for Clemson. But you know, like I said, Clemson wanted this moment. And what did I say since the very beginning, boys? I said this all the way back in September. I said it. Clemson was gonna win the national championship. There you have it.
Boy, and with the way things went in that first half, especially, and with the way what was that? Alabama went up 24-14. You were like thinking, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be another national championship for Alabama." Nope,
But it was
not
just,
gonna happen.
it was just like the New England Patriots against Seattle in Super Bowl 49. They were down 24-14.
And
they
you
came
can
back
see
to
the
win.
emotion on the sideline from the Clemson players to the coaches.
Has it gone official?
It's not over yet.
No,
There's
there's only
technically
1 second
one
left.
second left in the game.
There's that kickoff
but-
that's left.
Mhm.
Basically, it's basically what they were gonna have to do, and
Lateral. It's gonna be a lateral.
A band play.
it's gonna have to be. Basically, you got to try to have to kick it as deep as you can, and hope and pray. That's it.
Notice.
It's over.
There it is.
That's
Clemson
right.
is Clemson. What Clemson just did was
Oh,
they
wait a minute, wait a minute,
onside.
wait
No, what Clemson just did was they onside kicked it. They recovered their own fumble, and I believe.
Yep,
Oh
there you
no,
go.
no, no, no! It's not over yet. Not over yet. Everybody gotta get off the field. Everybody get back on the field. Get off the field. Everybody off the field. Off the field. Off the field.
Yeah, no time ran off.
No, no time ran off.
So Bama gets one.
Review. I don't know. Let's see. Hold on a second. They're telling everybody get off the get back, get off the field. It's not over yet. It's not
Oh,
over yet.
man.
So get off the field.
This has been freaking crazy.
All right, they're gonna review it because they need to first. They need to make sure this thing went over 10 yards. Then they got to see who recovered it because was there a clear recovery? We had to hold on. So they're not celebrating yet. So let's see. Did it go 10 yards first? Did it touch any Clemson player at that point either? It went.
And
yeah, go ahead. Continue with the show.
Yeah, while we wait for the review, to be upheld, which I know MF's going to keep an eye on. A quick.
And I'm keeping an eye on it as well.
Yeah, MF and Bullock are keeping an eye on the review, but I just wanted to sneak in a quick plug. We will have a full recap of this national championship game for the ages this Friday night on Strictly Sports. So I just wanted to let them know, and I'll reveal the rest of the docket as well. It's going to be another short show.
We're going to have a whole lot to say about this game.
Oh, you better believe it. So I just wanted to let you know that. So
yeah, and
so
I'm watching the ESPNU version where they have all the guys like Keyshawn Johnson, Marcellus Wiley, Michelle Beadle, Bill Walton, Jay Billis, Rachel Nichols watching the game.
They must have lost their mind on that go.
Oh, they did.
And I know Fowler must have lost his mind too.
Oh, yes, he did.
I'm gonna have some fun with that in a minute. But yeah. So Bullock, I think we had left off on you in the women's match. I think you said,
I passed it off to you.
Oh, okay, yeah, and you were giving it off to me. Okay, all right, you were all set with that. So all right. So while we wait, perfect time for a cutout here, and we did have a cutout here. Another silly segment with Titus O'Neil and the New Day. I'm not gonna put these guys through the ringer on that one. It was basically New Day making an ass out of Titus O'Neil by showing his infamous moment from NXT in 2010 with that cake challenge, and they basically had him do it again, and he basically did it to Deshaun Jackson and fumbled it at the line there, or got rid of it before he crossed the finish line. He was supposed to have the K with you at the finish line. So, but for newer viewers, that wasn't the NXT you see today. It started as a dreadful competition show, even though it was originally dubbed the next evolution in television by one Vince McMahon. So, and then it led into a match with Kofi Kingston against Titus O'Neil. Kofi Kingston won it. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Trouble in Paradise. Absolute dud.
Up, Florio, we're about to get it. Oh,
go for it.
Clemson.
That's it.
Clemson gets possession. The ball went over 10 yards. The kicker recovered it. There's no illegalness that happened. Clemson gets the ball at their 45-yard line with 1 second remaining in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, it is over.
Clemson is your new undisputed college football playoff national champions.
Oh my Lord in heaven. We are gonna have a lot of fun with this on Friday night when we do our recap, boys. Let me just say it right now. So, wow. Congratulations to Clemson, Dabo Sweeney and company. They did it. The Clemson Tigers, national champions, won an ending to the ball game. And if MF and I had done the live time commentary like we usually would have done, I probably would have gone into my Sean McDonough crying voice if it had been me. So, and MF knows that all so well. So, all right. Yeah, Kofi over Titus O'Neil in 340 with the Trouble in Paradise. Absolute dud. Worst fight of the night. I mean, oy. That was bad. And they should feel bad. Can't they just have Titus O'Neil do charity work? He seems to love it, and he really is good at that. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And now we're going to move on to our main event of the evening, although I think we've already had some main events already. But the main event of Monday Night Raw, the 2-on-1 handicap match for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Universal Champion Kevin Owens teaming up with Chris Jericho, going up against Roman Reigns. The winners in 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho win the match. Therefore, we have a new United States Heavyweight Champion. And that new United States Heavyweight Champion is none other than Chris Jericho. Jericho scores the pinfall after a co-breaker and a beatdown on Roman Reigns. Y2J, Chris Jericho, the one title he had never won. He's finally got it. He had never won the United States Heavyweight Championship beforehand. He had won everything else. First ever undisputed champion, World Heavyweight Champion, Tag Champion, Intercontinental Champion. He had never won the United States Heavyweight Championship until tonight. Jericho wins the title. I would probably say by default the fight of the night. This was clearly designed to get the title off Reigns in a way that protects him, which it accomplished. Unfortunately, the match came off like a best of and not a good one from the previous 150 matches between these guys. No sense of urgency at all, and it felt about twice as long as it actually was. We need to get these guys away from each other ASAP. So I will give it about 2.5 stars for the effort, though. That's all I can say on that. And I mean, and now it reflects the vomit reflexes to Reigns winning the Universal Championship of the Royal Rumble won't be as bad as they would have been if he had won it while still the U.S. champ. I know there were some people that were actually hoping to see Owens get the win and drive a wedge between him and Jericho, as he would have been a double champion. But it is kind of cool that Jericho finally won the United States Heavyweight Championship. So, but I will give it 2.5 stars. That's really all I can say on that. So, MF, your thoughts on the main event? And Chris Jericho is now the new United States Heavyweight Champion. Drink it in, man.
Yeah, drink it in, drink it in. I'm gonna say it was a great match. It was a good, solid fight. 2 to 2.5 stars is my rating for the main event. It was good for what it was worth. I didn't mind it at all. It was a solid fight. Yes, Jericho was the more deserving winner. I think I would have gone on a rant on this belt because I don't like the fact of a double champion in companies. I don't know why. I just don't. I just think the way that this ended, this was a better way to end it. But I know they're trying to keep the besties all together and whatnot. I just feel like by doing it this way, it's a little more better, at least in my eyes, in my mind, in my thoughts. So, no doubt about it. Nothing bad to say. This was a good main event. But like I said, 2 to 2.5 stars. Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, 2 to 2.5 stars is my rating on the match. I mean, we knew it was eventually going to happen with Chris Jericho now finally winning the United States Championship for the first time in his career, and now he's pretty much won a lot. I mean, a lot of the championships. I mean, the WWE, the World Heavyweight Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the U.S. title, the Tag Team title. I mean, I could go on and on. So there's really nothing more to say. So 2 to 2.5 stars. So Dee Woodson, what says you?
I pretty much kind of agree, so I'm not going to say too much more. So just wrap it up.
All right, overall review of Monday Night Raw. We're going to start it off with good old MF, Michael Fletcher. MF,
I'm sorry. No, I had my mic muted. Overall review. another 50-50 show, a little bit more better than this one. I could give 6.5 out of 10. I think that's the best way I can go with this one. There was some good moments. There was some bad moments. Taker arrival, awesome. The crowning of a new United States champion, awesome. But there was really nothing else that really stood out, to say the very least. I'm sorry. The Shawn Michaels thing was good, but other than that, there was really nothing more to say. I'm sorry, guys. So 6 to 6.5 out of 10 is my rating. Nothing more to say. Bullock, what do you say?
Yeah, 6 to 6.5 out of 10 is my rating on the on this edition of Raw. And even if Raw did put up a good show, there was no way they would have beaten what we had just seen with one of the greatest national championship games I have ever seen. I mean, even if they did go 7 to 7.5, or even 8, or maybe even a 9, I still would have said that the national championship game was better. So, yeah, so, I mean, the only things I did like, I mean, some of the matches were good, but the return of Shawn Michaels and, of course, The Undertaker really stood out. So there's really nothing more for me to say. 6 to 6.5 out of 10. So, Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
I said it last week. I'm not going to rate the show high just because of the two special guests, because in my opinion, the show really was not the best in the world. I mean, it was pretty average. So, in my opinion, I'm actually going to go a little bit lower than you guys, and I'm actually going to hit it right smack dab on a 5. So, I'm heading out. So, good night, guys.
All right, good night, Dee, and I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow night for for our next edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk.
You got it.
All right, we'll see Dee again tomorrow night. So have a good one, Dee. We'll see you then. So all right, so it now poses the question: who do I agree with? Do I agree with MF and Bullock on their rating, or do I agree with Dee Woodson? I'm sorry, guys, I got to go with Dee Woodson on this one. I got to give this a 5 out of 10 myself. I mean, overall, Raw had some big Royal Rumble related moments and a title change at the end, but it still managed to feel alarmingly lifeless throughout most of the third hour. I mean, while I would not call this a bad show per se, I will say that I felt that this was not a very good show. The past few weeks, I felt that Raw was solid with some good elements of build for feuds in the Rumble. They did some small things here, but I didn't find much of it interesting at all. The show also felt lifeless and a little long to me. There was no buzz, no real sense of urgency. It was a show. I am, however, I will do some recommendations, though. First and foremost, strongly recommend the Undertaker segment. I mean, if you didn't see that, you got to see that. I'll also recommend the segment with Shawn Michaels and all of them. I'll give you that. I'll also give you. And I'll also maybe give you the opening few minutes of the show. And as far as matches go, the only real match that really stood out for me maybe was Sheamus and Luke Gallows. Although you can make an argument for the main event as well, considering that we had a new U.S. champion. Maybe I'll even throw in the women's match for some flavor content, and maybe the Neville Cruiserweight match against Lince Dorado. But other than that, there's really nothing else I can recommend from this show. So, but the one thing that I honestly strongly recommend, it is the Undertaker segment. So that's really all I can say on that. So I agree 100% with Dee Woodson. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. So with that being said, it's now time for my Tony's Take, as I will give you my thoughts on the latest installment of 205 Live and my first Impact review of the year. So, because we were finally back to live action on Impact Wrestling this time around. And just bear with me for one moment as I get my notes ready. When it comes to 205 Live, it was headlined by a match with Adrian Neville and TJ Perkins. And I'm going to get into that momentarily. So here we go. Now it's on to 205 Live, and we had 4 matches on the card, and it had started off with the return of a wily veteran, the Japanese buzzsaw, Tajiri. He went up against Sean Maluda, You remember Sean Maluta was in the Cruiserweight Classic. He went, I believe he was Kota Ibushi's first victim, if I recall correctly. Or was it Akira Tozawa? It was one of those guys. But anyways, Tajiri won the match in 2 minutes and 52 seconds. No rating to a dud here. It was exactly what it needed to be in order to reintroduce Tajiri, and the post-match sets up a feud for him as well, because he would then have a confrontation with the Brian Kendrick. So it looks like we're going to have a Tajiri and Kendrick feud down the line. I could get with that. That could be something good. The Extraordinary Gentleman, Jack Gallagher, went one-on-one with Tony Nese. Jack Gallagher won that match in 2 minutes and 20 seconds, 2 minutes and 27 seconds via disqualification. Arya Daivari. What we got was solid, but they didn't get much time at all. Gallagher and Daivari must continue. Another no rating to a dud. Next up, we had Mustafa Ali one-on-one with Noam Dar. Mustafa Ali wins the match in 6.5 minutes. 2.5 stars, second best fight of the night. Ali comes off as a star, and that was a good showing from him. Dar losing felt off to me, as him winning as Alexander continues to lose makes more sense in their feud. And then the main event of the evening, Adrian Neville, the self-proclaimed king of the cruiserweights, one-on-one with TJ Perkins, TJP. Winner of the match in 11 minutes and 52 seconds. Adrian Neville wins the match with a superplex type move. Fight of the night, far and away. 3.25 stars. I love heel Neville. He's been great so far. And I love that he will still do some flippity-doos, but when he wants and is all you're your Red Arrow, I have a tasty 1980 superplex for you. So that's all I can say on that. Far and away, fight of the night, 3.25 stars for the effort. Overall, 6.5 out of 10 is my overall score. The effort was solid. The reintroduction of Tajiri went well, and it appears they also set up his first feud with the Brian Kendrick. King Neville kicks ass. Mustafa Ali has real star potential. And while the Dar versus Alexander and Daivari versus Gallagher programs do not resonate with me at all, at least they are following up on them. But they feel as if they are going on too long. So that's my only little constructive criticism. But other than that, I will give it a 6.5 out of 10 for the effort. So solid show. That's all I can say. The first two fights, meh. The other two fights, much better. But Neville and TJP, they stole the show. No doubt about it. So alrighty. Now we're going to move on to my first Impact Wrestling review of the new year. I haven't been doing it for the last couple of weeks because the last two shows before were best of shows, best of the year and then the best of the Hardys. So, and we had 2 title matches on this show. So, honestly, this review is not going to be one of the more positive ones, even though there was one match that I really enjoyed on my end. So with that being said, we started it off with an in-ring segment. The World Heavyweight Champion, Eddie Edwards, he was interrupted by both Bobby Lashley and Ethan Carter III. And it led to Eddie Edwards saying, you know what? You both want a shot at my title? How about we make it a triple threat match to start off the year? And then he promised a big surprise during the show. In kicking off a new era, I would not have started with a WWE-style revolving door promo segment. It was okay, but it felt flat overall. Also, Josh Matthews' woeful commentary in the background added absolutely nothing. So that's all I can say on that. And then we had an Impact Grand Championship match. Champion Moose defending the title against the Miracle Mike Bennett. It went the distance. Yeah, it went the distance. It went all 3 rounds. And the winner of the match via split decision by a final score, I believe, 29-28 or 30-27 or 29-28 or something like that. Winner of the match, and still your Impact Grand Champion, it was Moose. Some of the experts may not have liked this match, but I'm going to be real honest with you. I loved it. This, to me, since the Grand Championship concept started back in October at Bound for Glory, when Aaron Rex went up against Eddie Edwards, who was subbing for an injured Drew Galloway, I gotta say this was the best one I ever saw. 3.5 to 4 stars. This, I'm not gonna say it was a 5-star classic or anything, but this was a really good match. It had the elements of Shakespearean drama in there. I mean, Bennett won the first round. Moose won the second round. And then it came down to the third round. It could have gone either way. I agree with the decision. Moose got the win. That was the best Grand Championship match I ever saw. I could even go as far as to call it the fight of the night, but I'm torn between this and one other match. So that's all I can say on that. But this to me was a really good, really, really good match. And it was far and away the best Grand Championship match I ever saw, beating the previous mark of Aaron Rex and Eddie Edwards from Bound for Glory. So, all right. For those of you who may have been wondering, whatever happened to Hornswoggle? You're like, Hornswoggle, really? He's in TNA now. And he's not known as Hornswoggle. He's just known as Swoggle. And he went up against Rockstar Spud. Swoggle won the fight in 30 seconds. No rating to a dud. Thankfully, it was short. Spud went on a meltdown and basically said he quit. So, okay, whatever. Then we move on to Eli Drake's Fact of Life segment with the Hardys. This was the segment of the night. I mean, anything the Broken Hardys touch, especially Broken Matt Hardy, anything Broken Matt Hardy touches turns to freaking gold, for God's sakes. I mean, this was unreal. I mean, the back and forth between him and Eli, I mean, Jeff was fine as well, but honestly, Eli Drake and Matt Hardy really made this segment. And that's all I can say on that. So that was a really good segment. And it's set up for a match on their one night only pay-per-view for the tag team titles. The Hardys against Eli Drake and a partner of his choosing. So then we had a tag team match. The Helms Dynasty, Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett with Gregory Shane Helms went up against the Decay with the women's knockout champion Rosemary. Decay wins the match in 3 minutes and 35 seconds rather. Solid 2 stars. It was solid for the time given. Lee and Everett are great, but TNA continues to completely miss the boat with Lee and Everett, especially as a team. Then we had a rare 2-for-1 deal in TNA. We had Maria Kanellis and her lady group in the ring, her, Sienna, Laurel Van Ness. She called out Allie, and she booked Allie in a match against Sienna. Allie accepts it, and then it led into a match. Sienna versus Allie. Sienna won the match in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Another solid 2 stars for the efforts. It was solid stuff. They have done a good job of advancing the Allie character, and the crowd loves her. The main issue is that all the extracurriculars felt extremely repetitive. So that's all I can say on that. And then we move on to the main event of the evening, triple threat match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Eddie Edwards defending against both Ethan Carter III and Bobby Lashley. Winner of the match in 19 minutes and 55 seconds. And still, TNA World Heavyweight Champion Eddie Edwards. What was that big surprise Eddie Edwards was talking about? It was the return of his tag team partner in the Wolves, one Davey Richards. Yes, Davey Richards is back. He distracted Bobby Lashley. It allowed Eddie Edwards to hit the Boston Knee Party for the 1-2-3. Edwards is still the champ. No question about it. This was my other best fight of the night here. I'm going to give this 3 to 3.5 stars for the effort. Started slowly, but they worked themselves into a good outing, one that occasionally teased getting very good. Unfortunately, they stuck to the basic triple threat formula and were never brave enough to stray from it. On top of the title program, feeling like more of the same. The wrestling felt like more of the same. Solid to good, but just not able to get over the edge into great. I love Edwards as the fighting champion, but I wish his wins came up as a bit more definitive, especially after Lashley called him out as being lucky. You can sell Edwards as scrappy, but also a formidable athlete due to his diverse style to make him feel more legit. So 3 to 3.5 stars. I could say co-fights in the night between that and the Grand Championship. Overall, 5.5 to 6 out of 10 for the effort. The show was very important. It was another attempt to relaunch the brand and to give people a chance to care and become invested. You can throw around fresh start and new era all you want, but just because you say it or want it to happen doesn't make it so. The first hour of the show, aside from the Grand Championship, was largely bad. I mean, starting with that WWE-style cliche talking segment, Rockstar Spud and Swoggle, one of the most uninspired hours of TV that TNA has produced in a long time, and it came at the worst time. After producing solid to good TV throughout 2016, it felt like a show that played it safe, had no sense of urgency to impress, and felt like a show they had to do. I'm rooting for TNA, I really am, but I want them to learn from their mistakes. But they didn't put their best foot forward tonight or last Thursday. I mean, they announced some matches for that one night only pay-per-view. The only things you need to see from the show, although it's not overly must see, the main event and the Grand Championship. And if you want to throw in those other solid 2-star fights, feel free. But if I were to recommend it, I would recommend the main event and the Grand Championship, and that Fact of Life segment with Eli Drake and the Hardys. Those I would recommend. I have high hopes for TNA as they start off this year, 2017. But I was a little underwhelmed, honestly. But it's only the first show. Hopefully they'll get it together. So I'm gonna pray that they get it together, because I've been rooting for TNA since the day it started, since Derek Ferreira told me about it 15 or so years ago. So with all that being said, before you wrap up this very exciting edition of Ridiculously Raw, let me see if I can find some. Okay, so hopefully these will be. Hopefully I have these correct. You know how I am when it comes to these. They already taped these shows. They had a big week of tapings last week, and I'm hoping that I have it right here. Okay, I just want to make sure as I'm waiting for these for my notes to load up here. All right. What they're going to do here is they're going to do something very interesting here. It's going to be called Race for the Case. Okay. The Miracle Mike Bennett, the Broken Hardys, Bram, Eddie Kingston from the DCC, Eli Drake, Tyrus, Crazy Steve, Mahabali Shera, Jesse Goddard, and Trevor Lee are the participants. There's going to be 4 cases. There's going to be a red case, a blue case, a gold case, and a green case. Okay, so read into that what you will. Then we had a match. Then we had we're going to have a EC3. He's going to have a talking segment, and Bobby Lashley's going to get involved, and it's going to set up a very interesting match between Bobby Lashley and Ethan Carter III. Wait till you see how that one turns out. And I'll tell you right now, the winner will be the number 1 contender, the next challenger for Eddie Edwards and the World Heavyweight Championship. A former knockout, a knockout that we haven't seen in a long time in TNA, a former knockouts champion is going to make her return. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Maybe I'll tell these guys in our behind the scenes, but I'm not going to give it away here. We're going to have another Grand Championship match. Moose is going to defend the title against Drew Galloway. Drew Galloway's back. We're going to finally get Moose and Galloway for the grand title. A 5-way match for the X Division Championship. DJ Z will face Trevor Lee, Andrew Everett, Marche Rocket, and a young man by the name of Caleb Conley. Okay. So, and then Bobby Lashley will basically call out Eddie Edwards. And then another Fact of Life segment. Looks like Tyrus is going to be the guest on that. And basically what I just said is going to be all over the place. They also taped some explosion bouts as well. So that's really all I can say on that. So look for, if you didn't really see any of those on the show this week, I do apologize for that. I just want to make sure I have the correct spoilers. I always want to make sure you fans get the best out of this. Or maybe I'm wrong on this. Because I see Aaron Rex and Rockstar Spud. I guess something's going to happen with them, I guess. Braxton Sutter going to go up against Mike Bennett. Rosemary cuts a promo. She's going to issue a challenge to Jade. Okay. And the Hardys and the Wolves are going to go at it. Oh, boy. And then Jesse Goddard's in a match for Explosion. So, like I said, look for what you see. Read into what you will when it comes to the show on Thursday night. And but know this, I'll have my review for it next week. So definitely some interesting things coming up for TNA, especially that race for the case bout. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes down. Red case, blue case, green case, gold case. That should be interesting. All right, that's going to put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. This very exciting, history-making edition of Ridiculously Raw. We crowned a new United States Heavyweight Champion in Chris Jericho. Seth Rollins throws his name into the Royal Rumble match. The Undertaker throws his name into the Royal Rumble match. We witnessed a national championship game for the ages. A new national champion crowned in the form of Clemson. Well done. They deserve it. So with that being said, it's time now for our shout-outs. I'm going to open forum it. MF, Bullock, whoever wants it first, take it. Just save me for last, and I'll set up the exciting future content coming up on the Wrestling Forum and Strictly Sports family of networks. Bullock, I see you. You're up first. So, Michael Bullock, it's all yours, my friend.
All right. Well, first off, of course, special shout outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or the Cerebral Smack Talk or Strictly Sports. It doesn't matter. We really appreciate it. We thank you so much for tuning in on this historic night, to say the very least, with what we saw on Raw. And, of course, with probably the greatest national championship game I've ever seen. So, of course, excuse me. Of course, shout outs to the rest of the Woodson family out there, and of course our other super fans, Matt Ward and Jason Hicksonball, and of course to all of our friends from high school days. You guys know who you are. So, and of course to Derek Ferreira. So, so there's really nothing more to say. So I'll save the rest of my shout outs Friday night on Strictly Sports. So until then, this is Phenom Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. And of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw to Fortune 4 style. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. So, Fletch, I give it to you.
Guys, I think we might want to rethink everything because I just found something. This actually just went off the air on Monday Night Raw. This is actually post Raw. Let me see if I can get this. And
I posted the same thing. I said it to Florio.
Yeah, Bullock texted me. Bullock texted me the photo of it on the show. Yes, I'm glad MF mentioned that. I did say that something interesting happened after Raw. Let's just.
Do you want me to show it?
Yeah, show it.
Why not? Yeah, absolutely. Because
there it is.
Look what happened in the show. Look what happened at the end of Raw tonight. Michael Bullock, you wanted it. You got it, my friend. The Undertaker showing up and choke slamming both the new United States champion Chris Jericho and the Universal champion Kevin Owens. What does that tell you? I don't know. All right, MF, let's get to your shout-outs now.
All right. With that said, first off, let me stop sharing. First off, I want to say thank you to all the great fans out there that makes the show as amazing as it is. You guys are the best fans in the world. You guys already know that. To the super fans, you guys already know who you guys are. To the to my 2184 crew, love you guys as always. And what an amazing night it's been. And it's only going to get crazier because tomorrow is, or later tonight, is the Cerebral Smack Talk, SmackDown Live. We got some Ring of Honor news, and yes, there is some legit Ring of Honor news. And because what happened this week, there's a Best of Excellence tournament going on, and on top of that, the Young Bucks caused quite a stir, to say the very least. We'll get into that. And the next thing we know, we actually do have one other thing that needs to be addressed, and that was, of course, Lucha Underground. So with that said, it's going to be 10:30 Eastern, guys. So please note the time, 10:30, not 10 o'clock, 10:30. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. So with that said, hugs and hand pounds. I'm out. Good night. Anthony, take it home.
All right, we'll do MF. Special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world, like MF alluded to. Special shout out to our first lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson, and her family, the first family of our show. Of course, also special shout outs to Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonball, Daniela Trell from the UK. Our other first ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. Our other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Braderson, and Rob Parsons. And, of course, last but certainly not least, the hardcore pipe bomb himself, Derek Ferreira. without whom none of this would be possible. And that's it. I'll save the rest of my shout outs for Friday night. Future content coming up tomorrow night at 10:30 over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. Another all-new edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We will review SmackDown Live. 3 big matches going down tomorrow night on SmackDown Live. Baron Corbin, one-on-one with John Cena. The rematch for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Champions Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, the American Alphas, defending against the former champions, the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Luke Harper. Which 2 of the 3 will it be? We'll find out. And then, of course, in women's action, Nikki Bella finally one-on-one with Natalya. That and a whole lot more on SmackDown Live. And then, of course, MF with his Mikey's Mindset, ROH, Lucha Underground, some other things if he has anything. And that's tomorrow night, 10:30 on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. And then come right back here to the Tone 25 on Friday night at 10:30 for Strictly Sports. Another short show this week. The docket was released this afternoon by Derek Ferreira. We're going to start it off. We're going to start it right off with the recap of the greatest national championship game we ever saw. We're going to talk about it. We're going to dissect every nook and cranny of this sucker. Clemson, Alabama, Clemson winning it. Unbelievable. We'll talk about everything. And then from there, we will also preview all 4 NFL divisional playoff matchups. They are all set. The Seattle Seahawks will square off against the Atlanta Falcons on Saturday. On top of that, on Saturday night, that'll be at 4:30. Around 8 o'clock Saturday night, we will have the Houston, and that game will be on Fox, by the way, Seattle and Atlanta. Over on CBS, it'll be the Houston Texans squaring off against the New England Patriots in Foxborough. That's on Saturday night on CBS. And then Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock on NBC, the other AFC divisional matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers squaring off against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then in the main event of divisional playoff weekend, 4:30 on Fox, a renewal of one of the greatest playoff rivalries of all time, the Green Bay Packers squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys. My Lord, that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And then in our main event of the show, we're going to unveil the first of our bi-weekly NHL Power Ranking. So National Championship recap, divisional playoff weekend preview, and our NHL Power Rankings. So that's our show for Friday night. And then that's it. And then next Monday night for another all-new Ridiculously Raw as we inch closer to the Royal Rumble. So, all right, so that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Ridiculously Over Anthony Florio, for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, the Twisted Angel D.D. Woodson, and the Hardcore Pipe Bomb Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Tuesday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. Good night, everybody.